Hi everyone. In our previous video, we explored delegates and how they work. In this video, we will take the next step and learn about events in .NET. Events allow an object to notify other objects when its internal state changes. Events provide a simple way to implement the observer pattern. So if you don't know what is an observer pattern, don't worry. We'll explore this in the subsequent videos. So enough of theory, let's look at some code. So here to simulate the weather change, I have created a weather provider class. What this class does is at every second it kind of simulates weather change event. So let's look at the implementation of this class. So here I'm defining a delegate called weather delegate, which takes two parameter, temperature and the weather, and an event which is basically event keyword followed by a delegate. We can use one of the internal .NET delegates like system.event handler if that suits your requirement, right? And event called weather change. Basically, like all the subscriber subscribe to weather change event using this event handler. Then the timer, basically this timer kicks in every second and calls the on weather change. On weather change calls the notify on weather change method by passing the temperature between 20 to 40 degrees Celsius. So within notify on weather change method, we are notifying all the subscribers by passing the temperature and the weather information. Let's see how we can utilize this weather provider class to display the weather change. So here I'm instantiating the weather provider class and I'm subscribing to weather change event. Here the expectation is on every second weather change event fired, and my display should display the weather change text. Let's run and see what happens. You see, as expected, whenever there is a weather change, my weather change event handler get called and it displays both the temperature and the weather. Let me stop this. Okay. So now we understood what are events and how to use them in the real world application. Let's look at some of the similarities between events and delegates. So both events and delegates support single and multiple subscribers. They allow similar syntax for adding and removing the handlers. They both support invoke method. So one major difference between delegates and events are events supports private invocation. What do you mean by private invocation? Say, take an example of our weather provider class. It has weather change event. So if I try to invoke this weather change event outside of this containing class, it's not possible. Whereas for the delegates, we saw this in the previous video. It is possible to invoke all the subscribers outside of the class where delegates is defined. So this is one major and important difference actually to decide on whether to use delegates or the event. So other thing to keep in mind is make sure that Whenever you're done with the usage of um, event handler, make sure you unsubscribe. Otherwise, it might lead to memory leaks. So how do I unsubscribe it? It's simple. um, Instead of using plus, use minus sign actually, right? Thank you.